He should get its facts right first. He should have gone and asked Mr. Modi, what have you given to the Americans, and come to Times Now debate with the facts and enlightened us on the facts. He is also speculating.
You don't have to tell me.
This is what I believe. I am not interested in what you believe. I am interested in what your government has done. Whether your government has sold out on our national interest. And you are accountable to the people of our country. You please tell us whether you have sold out on our national interest or not. That is what the people want to know from you.
I know whom we are accountable to.
Why are you using words like breakthrough? Your Prime Minister is saying breakthrough?
I know whom we are accountable to.
Tell us what breakthrough you have achieved with the Americans.
I know.
There is a difference between
See, don't raise your voice if you don't have a logical point.
I'm afraid we are
I know whom I am responsible for. I don't have to. I have not sold my country over a foreign ideology.
Trying to fool the people.
BJP has not sold its ideology, its country for a foreign ideology.
You are running away from the debate, Mr. Chari. You please don't run away from the debate by talking about irrelevant things. You talk about the civil nuclear ban.
I think it's a no. What's it? I don't take away from the fact.
I'm sitting here.
No, sir. I think symbolism is important. I think personal relationship is important. I think the fact that they get along is important. I think the fact that there is a second, third, fourth meeting between Modi and Obama is important. It's all important. The atmospherics are important. FIIs are feeling happy. We'll invest in India, important. But when somebody says, and my only point is that there has been a huge breakthrough, I want to know the breakthrough. What's wrong in asking that question, yes, Mr. Ponappa? What's wrong in asking? Where is the breakthrough?
You wait.
I want to also
wait for
wait. What breakthrough?
Wait till you get. Wait till you get the details.
Leela Ponappa, please. Leela Ponappa is speaking, please.
Like somebody asking for a book to be banned before they've read it. I mean, we've had really some sketchy details that were conveyed during the press briefing yesterday. And I think the detailed documentation, the text of what is committed is something that we have to see before taking a judgment call. Talking about insurance, this is not the first time that the Indian taxpayer would have to pay for the risk of taking on technology or equipment which does not perform. Early in the INSAT program, one of the launches was aborted. There was an explosion. The insurance cover was provided by one of our public sector insurance companies. And I think it was a judgment call.
But how is it a breakthrough then? Ms. Ponappa, my question is, if we have...
It is an interpretation.
No, what's the big breakthrough?
Arnab, it is an interpretation. It is an interpretation. We have to see the fine print.
Exactly.
Pavan mentioned that early on in the show.
Exactly.
And I think let us await it. Let us await it and then decide whether.
Sure. Now let me.
Official statement that what has been agreed to is consistent both with our national laws and with our commitments.
Okay. 10 more minutes on the debate. The BJP representatives, you need to explain what the breakthrough is. Sanjay is raising his hand out there. So is Pavan Verma. They want to put on more questions on your side. Hardeep, Puri and Sheshadri, Chari, we have 10 more minutes for you to convince the viewers tonight that you've actually achieved a big breakthrough. My point at this stage, at one point I want to just raise. I don't think I got a clear answer to the point raised by Pavan Verma earlier in the debate. That can you actually trust the Americans to change their policy vis-a-vis Pakistan, strategically vis-a-vis India? And what have you got in hard terms? Because Hardeep Puri uses the phrase cold realism. In terms of cold realism, tell me how should we trust the Americans more? I thought the BJP would be more circumspect because till recently the CIA was snooping on the BJP. Yes, Hardeep Puri.
Arnab, I share your cynicism about the US attitude towards terror in Pakistan, but we are making progress. That progress has been incremental. The very fact that Pakistan-based terror entities like the Lashkar, like the Haqqani Network, D Company, etc., are listed in para 41 of the joint statement. And
Pavan Verma, is that enough? But is that enough?
Move against them.
No.
Is it the first time Pavan Verma says no? Pavan Verma says no. Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma. Sir, Pavan Verma.
And it talks of zero tolerance.
Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma, please.
It talks
Yeah.
about bringing
Mr.
both
Verma.
sides, asking Pakistan
if there is
Mr.
one
Verma.
area, if there is one area, Hardeep, if there is one area where there is the most natural congruence between India and the United States, it's the battle against terror. In the past, we have seen American ambivalence with regard to the kind of pressure that can be put on Pakistan to rein in the terror groups that it nurtures and in fact spawns and sponsors. I ask you that this wonderful cup of tea, this frequent meeting, this exchange of gifts, this banquet, has it led to America being more sensitive to our very, very fundamental interests on reining in this terror regimen in Pakistan? It's very fundamental to us. And we know the kind of pressure America can apply. We have seen it, what it's done with Russia on the crisis in Ukraine. I was at the banquet last night and I was at a lunch with congressmen today at the US ambassadors. I get the impression that they are actually grappling with this issue, that given their strategic interests in Afghanistan, will they push Pakistan far enough in congruence with India's interests? So I ask this question, that this pageantry is good, but will it also be to the benefit of India, which is in the most troubled region in the world?
No clear answer again. 4 minutes left. Does either of the BJP representatives have an answer?
Clear answer.
Or are we living on hope?
Clear answer. We have to work
Arnab
towards
Goswami,
that. We have to utilize every opportunity, including the second Obama summit, to encourage and persuade the Americans that they need to move decisively on this issue vis-a-vis Pakistan.
Is it the first time we will be making this, having this expectation from them? To what extent have they delivered? Did ProPublica not, was Headley not a double agent working for the Lashkar-e-Toiba and the American government? Did America ever help us there?
Yes, and I hope
do they share quality information in terms of intelligence with India?
That is the whole idea, that the counter-terrorism cooperation solidifies so that we can prevent.
And what does actionable intelligence mean?
What does actionable intelligence mean?
Actionable intelligence means that you have provided information.
Remember, you are dealing with a new Prime Minister, you are dealing with a new India. You are dealing with a very strong Prime Minister.
How does that change things? Okay, how does that change things? No, 1 second. 1 second. So, one second. Sheshadri Chari makes a political point. Sheshadri Chari makes a political point. 1 second. 1 second. He's making a political point. Let him. Yes, Mr. Chari.
Verma first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will answer Pavan Verma first.
Go ahead.
I will answer Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma has raised a very pertinent issue. I agree with it. Therefore, in the changed realities and the changed situation, we have to keep on convincing the Americans that, look, the policy that you pursued vis-a-vis Pakistan all these years was absolutely wrong. Therefore, here is an opportunity for you to recalibrate and change it. And if they change it, good. If they don't, we don't have to bother about what Americans think about Pakistan and what America
wants so Mr.
us
Chari,
to do vis-a-vis Pakistan.
But Mr. Chari, may I come in and ask you
policy
Arnab, can I say something to this?
No, one second. Prasenjit wants to come in 1 second. Prasenjit, yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that I would disagree both with Mr. Pavan Verma and with Mr. Chari. I think it is first of all, as you are mentioning, the Headley case clearly brings out that US has its own war on terror. And if we think that our best strategic interest lies in trying to persuade our strong, muscular Prime Minister, the only thing he is capable of is to try and persuade the Americans again and again that please, dato Pakistan, please chastise Pakistan. No. I mean, this is a different world we are living in. The Americans have their own interests. If you make America's friends your friends, America's enemies your enemies, no. That is the whole point. That is the whole point. We have our own war
you have not understood my point. You have not understood. You have not understood my point. You have not understood Pavan Verma's point either.
Then you are quoting America's enemies to become your enemies, and that is not in the best interest of India. America's interests are in Afghanistan.
Not at all.
How are your interests aligned with the American interests of Afghanistan in the Arab world?
Not at all. We are not.
How are your interests aligned with the America's interests? Yes, your
we have an independent foreign policy option.
That is,
we have an independent foreign policy option.
Are we exercising that option?
Be it Pakistan, or be it China.
Now you will be
Pakistan or be it China, we will not tolerate. We will not tolerate China playing dirty games in our backyard.
With the Americans, and then they will take those aircrafts and drones and they will bomb Afghanistan, and people of Afghanistan will go against you. This is what you will achieve by aligning strategically with the Americans.
We can have an independent discussion. We can have an independent discussion on foreign policy issues.
Sir, may I?
We can have an independent discussion on foreign policy issues. But what is more important is we don't share. We don't have to completely share the American view.
But Mr. Chari, I agree with you.
China.
No, Mr. Chari.
We don't have to agree with that.
Mr. Chari, I agree. Mr. Chari, I agree with you. I agree with you, Mr. Chari. I agree with you. We do have an independent foreign policy option. But my question is tonight, Leela, Ponappa, are we exercising it? We have an independent foreign policy option, but anyone observing Indian foreign policy, Mr. Chari, let me complete. Mr. Chari, let me complete. We called the Chinese premier with great expectations and then got into a battle over what was happening, the skirmish at the border. We know the successful visits the most successful were Japan, Australia and the United States of America. There are many observers who now begin to believe that we don't have an independent foreign policy option. We are now moving towards the US, Australia, Japan camp. And the expectation from their side is growing.
Absolutely.
Leela, Ponappa, the expectation from their side...
wrong.
Yeah,
provided it's part of a strategic vision.
I think India has long...
That in itself is not wrong, Arnab. I want to point out. But it should be part of a strategic vision.
India has long had a practice of actually belying the expectations of many of its partner countries. And I would like to think that the stability of India's policy establishment will continue to see that. Now we've seen a lot of euphoria. As you said, there is this expectation that we are moving from one end of the pendulum to the other and so on and so forth. I would repeat what I said to Mr. Chari. You have to factor in your history and recognize that you have to learn from it, number one. Number two, I think this is where cold realism comes in. Yes, America is closely linked with Pakistan. It has poured over $15 billion into that country, despite the kind of terror havens that Pakistan has continued to sponsor against American troops. That is a very severe contradiction, and it has always remained a problem in terms of the India-US relationship. Having said that, I think the question we need to ask ourselves is, to what extent do we engage? Obviously, you do not let your guard down. Obviously, you have your reservations about the quality of the intelligence they will share with you.
But are we not leaning towards the Americans? I don't know why we are in denial. It is clear to everyone we are leaning towards the Americans.
You have to...
but we are leaning more and more towards the Americans.
As much as you have to engage...
Strategic... that's all about strategic... But Leela, Ponappa, if we are for a strategic reason, I think the country can be told. I don't know why we need to play, hide and seek over it. Tell us, we are leaning towards the American, Australian, Japan axis. It's not a crime to do that, Mr. Chari.
No, I don't believe so at all. I think we are joining the game. We are joining the game in terms of trying to find equilibrium.
But joining the game on which side, Hardeep Puri?
What is in this?
Joining the game on whose side? On which side? Joining the game on which side?
You are getting drawn into a game. Listen, this whole insurance is a market-based mechanism where you will earn a premium.
Sir, I am not talking about insurance. I am talking about the overall big picture.
And if we can get the Americans to move on terrorism, on terrorism, if you can move so that Pakistani entities are listed, that in itself constitutes an achievement.
Okay.
But most important, you will have to work on this. It's not something that is going to fall in your lap and the Americans will deliver. Leela has just pointed out that they have a long-standing relationship with Pakistan. They have poured money into it. It's a frontline state with which they may still want to do business.
Exactly.
How much of a margin of persuasion can we use in order to take them away from the traditional policy and get them to deliver jointly with us on this whole terror business?
But Mr. Puri, I'll tell you one thing. If today, after all of this, if America does not deliver on our interest, you know what people will say? People will say, you raised the expectations. You can't blame the people. People will say, you raised the expectation. We got a feeling you're going to get the Americans to do your bidding.
It is entirely possible.
Well, if it happens, then it's good.
It is entirely possible. Therefore, as a professional with 40 years of standing, I always say calibrate the expectation. Because tomorrow the facts will speak for themselves. But I think what the Prime Minister has achieved today is something quite significant. He has been able to tie his American counterpart down to a plan of action in terms of intensification.
Sir,
you know, they have used the word,
sir,
if you read the statement very carefully, the counter-terrorism cooperation will be the defining partnership of the 21st century.
Sir, that's what you think. Sir, that's what you think. You should just... Sir, 1 second, Mr. Puri. Mr. Puri, that's what you think. But ask any other realist who'll be cold realist. They'll say, just listen to the last 2 lines of Obama's speech at the CEO's Council, where he says, the next time I come to India, I hope in terms of business you would have achieved a lot more. He said it so clearly before he was given a standing ovation.
And absolutely correct.
So it's for the Americans, it's pure business.
Have you ever tried to do business with India?
Okay.
As an ambassador outside for 15 years, I had to face this. Any business you try to do with India, you have the great Indian bureaucracy which will run it aground. So I think it's very right for any foreigner to say that if you want to partner us in economic cooperation, you better get your house in order.
Agreed.
And I think the Prime Minister is demonstrating that he will personally monitor that we get our act together.
Agreed. But we also have our list of deliverables on the other side. Do you think it's advantage India or America? Let us know what you think. I thank everyone for joining me on debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight.
I mean, Pavan.